Saishale, Wayakantake, Earth Keeper. Your feet are wet from many lands. Keep your heart clean, and you will see the unseen. Saishale, Wayakantake, carried over nations' water. Saishale, Wehasate, Earth Keeper, you have broken through the protective embrace. Now face the visions put forth long ago. Wisdom from the heart of the mother, revealing the patterns of your heart. You are a teacher, the keeper of the land. Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining me again. This is Farida, and you're listening to New Heart Transformation on Soma Fusion Media. I'm going to just read for a little bit. I'm waiting for my guests to show up. We've had some technical issues, but here we are. So when you have your technical issues, just keep pursuing or persevering, and it'll eventually find its way to being all good. So this is what I'm reading from this book again. Things are going great in my absence. And this is particularly awesome. I just opened it to a page, and it happens to, of course, be incredibly relevant to here and now. Your past was leading you to now. Life force created an entire world to play in as you. It spent billions of years evolving this environment for you. Then it evolved you. It continues to evolve you, and probably will for eternity. Source loves to create and expand and never stops. There is no end destination. This in itself is a freeing notion. You will never be done, so you can stop being concerned with perfection or completion or being behind or getting to enlightenment. That was one of my things. And then I finally realized exactly what I just read. Enjoy this moment as if it were Christmas Eve and you were about to open the most astounding pile of presents that you've ever received. Isn't that a good feeling, even though you've not opened them yet? This moment is your life. Feel that and breathe it in. The moment is all that there really is. And this book is about being happy in this moment. And when you are happy in this moment, you are in agreement with the divine. The time for enlightenment is now. The time for mankind to wake up is now. The means to get started are available right now, right here in this book and in this moment. You are now on your way to enlightenment, really. Savor the journey. It's been a long time coming. If you've been on your spiritual path for decades, it may have seemed it would never come, but it's here. And it requires little from you because it is being given to you by the grace of the divine. Now, how magical is that? It's being given to you by the grace of the divine. Feel that and breathe it in. Universal intelligence is intervening and giving it to you where you were not able to find it from your human perspective. It has always been that way. It has always been that way. Grace opened up monks who would fervently study, pray, and give devotions and service for years with no sign of enlightenment. Just one day, the divine grace opened them up. Instantly, out of the clear blue. Our efforts can't bring enlightenment, only source. The life force can give it. One thing was certain. Once my awakening began, life was never mundane again. It would still occasionally forget, or I would still occasionally forget, for a moment, who I am. But it became increasingly clear just how powerful we are from our large self perspective. We know we are truly physical existence of source. Yeah? I think that's pretty freaking amazing. Katie, do we have a guest yet?
No, we don't.
Okay. I'm going to keep reading um, because this is pretty cool book, you know? Um, let's see. She says, coughing up a hairball? Better to talk about it quick. After each divine opening, you'll begin to experience a fuller range of emotion, from profound bliss to emotions you'd probably label as unwanted. When you decide to become enlightened and liberated, you are given permission for Source to move energy through you. And in this process, lower vibrating energies, the ones you don't like to feel, begin to move rapidly. You feel you'll feel as if it moves, but it's moving, it's also leaving, and that's very good. I cannot emphasize this enough because you might forget it at first. It will be easy to complain and think it isn't working. Negative emotion is one sign that it's working. It is great if you can notice and appreciate the negative feeling or event. Negativity and negative energy that's been sluggish is now moving and leaving. It's a great gift that energies will leave you that you were unaware of. Because these vibrations were affecting your reality, whether you knew about them or not. Soon you will welcome and even enjoy all emotions as they arise and recede. That is emotional freedom. But for now, you might want some guidance about how to deal with the dense, heavier ones, which you will feel as if they move on out. People who are experiencing unwanted emotions can get so serious about it that I came up with light, humorous term for it. And that term is coughing up a hairball. This encourages people not to take it so seriously as they move through it, and they'll move through it even faster. Even laugh about it and enjoy the process. So I love reading that because I'm going through a bit of a, I call it a hiccup, um, but you can call it a hairball. This morning I woke up with a raging headache. Um, and I knew that it was a release because I had had some dreams that were pretty intense, and were definitely talking about moving energy out, moving funk and junk and negativity out, and people that no longer serve, purpose or have served their purpose, and I need to move them out. Um, so yeah, it's very cleansing dreams, and I woke up with a major headache, and so I realized the power of my body to heal itself and to move out those energies that I needed. So even though it's still there slightly, I did manage to move quite a bit of it, quite a huge chunk of it through breath and through asking it what its purpose was, asking why it was there. And I actually dug into it and found, when I was younger, I cracked open my skull on the top and bled a lot. And, there's a lot of trauma in my skull. And so I was able to recognize that this headache is a processing that trauma to my head. And I had never thought of that before. I always had to make an excuse that it was hormonal or it was this or it was that, but it's just energy moving. And so I dealt with it through breath and through thought forms and asking the right questions. So I coughed up my hairball and I'm feeling better, drinking water and hanging out with you for a minute. And so I'm going to continue reading. Coughing up a hairball can take many forms. Generally, any unwanted feeling or manifestation can be considered a hairball, and it will move quickly if you don't resist, fight, or try to escape it. Fear, anxiety, worry, grief, and depression, aggravation, jealousy, illness, fatigue, headache, nausea, digestive upsets, odd physical sensations, upsets with others, losses, accidents, negative, unwanted events in your life, unwanted news. All these can be manifestations of those old energies moving. They need to move, just as enlightenment, beings full body present sensations of bliss. So the energies moving on will physically be felt. A new client actually felt something physically scratchy in their throats and simulated the hairball. And we laugh. Laughing is an easy way to choose to experience the movement. And I suggest you intend for it to be that easy. Once you are initiated into enlightenment, there is nothing you can do to stop the process or help it along. So, your most joyful option is to get out of the way and let it happen. Many things in your life may break down. If you want upward movement, they must break down. Something has to change if you want change. Something's got to give. Just observe it and know that those things had to go to make room for your newer, better life. You are going to love what replaces them. Ask the divine for ease and a gentle process. And that's really important because uh, I can remember in 1999, and I remember it because my car accident was 9/10/99. I had asked, if I needed to move from the place where I was living and what was going on. And I wanted the message loud and clear. Well, I got it loud and clear. I got dragged under a big rig or lorry for a big truck for 200 yards. I got dragged underneath it. I'm really grateful that all I did was break my right wrist and it was the easiest bone in the body to heal. But I got a huge wake up call. You don't ask for it loud and clear. They're going to give it to you so that you can hear and understand it. You asked for it with ease and grace, you know, and in a way in which you will understand and hear it. But don't ask for loud and clear. Let it move with maximum ease, grace, and humor, right? Don't get dragged under the lorry. Thank the divine for helping you move those old patterns, masks, strategies, defenses, structures, and patterns that you have created through the years. They are embedded down to the cells and atoms. But just as there is nothing you can do about the sun coming up except to watch and appreciate it, there's nothing you have to do but be open to the experience of the old energies as they come unstuck and move. The divine opening pre programs the emergence and eventual dissolution of old patterns that no longer serve you. Oh, how magnificent is that? It kicks out the old small stuff that is not you. The old stuff your separated mind created. The pain of loss, fear, abandonment, anger, worry. It all dissolves as it is fully felt. If there's anything for you to do at this melting off of the old stuff occurs, it is to simply experience it without resistance. Any emotion experienced fully dissolves. It's easy to forget that it's perfect. It's what you needed. Let me say that again. Because at first, when we feel an unwanted emotion, our old conditioned response is to make it wrong. Huh, right? Got a little bit more reading because we still don't have a guest, do we?
Nope.
No. Yeah, his internet is shoddy. I mean, if we don't end up doing this interview today, I'm going to definitely try to link with him. He's a Maori healer. He's a acupuncturist, a qigong instructor, and just really all around talented individual. And so again, oh, he says the link is not working. Zoom meeting and number ID, meeting ID. Can you give those to me, Katie, so I can?
On it right now.
Okay. Are you gonna send it to me? Okay.
Yes, I am.
Excellent. Sorry, listeners, bear with us. Um, because it'll be definitely worth waiting for because you guys know I'm fascinated with Maori culture, and I think that he has a lot to offer too. So just waiting for the link, and I'll send it out. Okay, here we go. And yeah, he needed the ID, so sorry, guys. Oh, yeah. So hopefully that works. If it doesn't work, I will send the meeting ID. This is very hard. Oh, there we go. Okay, perfect. All right. Okay, so I'm going to continue reading. We'll see what happens here. Let me get a drink of water so my throat's not dry when I'm reading for you. That's an advertisement for this water, huh? Yes, it's very good water. All right. There is no such thing as a negative emotion, a shorthand term for emotion you don't want. It's all good information, but don't go digging for it. That will not bring you happiness. People who dig for things to fix find that it never ends. You'll actually end up creating negativity by looking for it. Yes, that's very true because you can make problems where problems don't need to be. Um, let's see. You actually end up creating negativity when you go looking for it. Life will present to you anything you need to deal with. Just go about living and being happy and let the process deliver to you any feeling, event, or circumstance that you need to pay attention to in proper timing. See? Just, yeah, let it happen in proper timing. Anytime something happens that is not what you want or you feel a negative emotion, it's just life telling you, here's a place where energy is not flowing. Here's a place where you are separated from your true self. Here's an opportunity to let go and let the divine open you up. When something arises after divine opening or anytime and it doesn't feel good, just be with it and it will pass. Oh, this is perfect timing, right? He's connecting to audio. Hopefully we have Mataora on in a second here.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hallelujah.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Oh dear. We'll see what happens here. You can hear me now. Excellent. Mataora. It's so good to have you here. Thank you for joining us. I just gave him a very brief introduction of you as healer, acupuncturist, and qigong practitioner and teacher. What else do you want to add? Uh-oh. Now we can't hear you. Nope, can't hear you now either. Oh dear. See, this is what I was talking about, is like perfect timing. It's going to happen. Something's going to happen. This is going to open. There's a reason for this. Yes, people, listeners. And I am just asking that the lines be open so that my guests can be appreciated by the listeners here. Yes, we'll take a little breath and see what happens. Because we found connection before and we will find it again. Yes. Just keep trying. I guess eventually I will hear you. In the meantime, I'll just keep talking my talk about being in the moment and being present and allowing life to flow, and being in appreciation.
I was just going to suggest maybe disconnect from Zoom and then come back into the meeting. That might work.
So I guess he's going to try it.
So exit out of the meeting and then come straight back in. And then connect your audio again, because you were working just a minute ago.
Yeah, he was, huh?
Yeah,
there he
and then
goes.
all of a sudden he pressed something and it disappeared.
Yeah,
it happens. Technical difficulties.
it does, and I'm sure that whoever's listening appreciates and understands that as well. You know, you can't let it get you down. You just got to keep going, keep trying. And I know that this is going to be a good interview. It might run over a little bit. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely, you can go as long as you need.
Okay. Now can we hear you? I see that you're there, but you're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Perfect. Hello.
Can't
Yes.
hear me. Oh.
Yay.
What?
Perseverance. Yeah. You can hear me or you can't. Now I can't hear you. So I guess no video then, because I can't hear you.
I think the video somewhere along the lines, I think the video might be interfering with the audio.
Yeah, so you got to turn it off again. Phooey, but I'd definitely rather hear you for sure than have nothing there. Can you talk? Can we hear you? Or do you have to go out and come back in again?
Yeah, you might have to go out and come back in again just so that it can work.
Yeah, go out and come
This
back
time,
in.
don't turn your camera
no video.
on.
No video. He's got a camera on his picture. He takes good pictures for sure.
Yeah, that's okay. Just Matora, just exit out again. There we go. He did it again.
Yeah, he did it again.
There we go.
Excellent. But yeah, I mean, it's funny how life does that. It's like, oh, are you sure you want to do this? But it's testing all the time, testing. Where are you?
Cell phones are really funny. They really are.
Yeah, and I think he's from New Zealand and he lives out in very rural areas, so um that might be part of it. He had to drive down the road. Okay, I see you. Now I wonder if I can hear you again.
Okay, so only audio.
He just needs to unmute himself.
There we go.
Can you hear me? Hello?
There we go.
Yes. So we'll just leave it no video. That's all right. Welcome.
I don't know what's going on.
Now you can't hear me. Welcome. No, now you're muted.
Can you hear us? So it looks like that when his camera's on, he can hear us, but when his microphone is on, we can hear him, but he can't hear us. It's weird.
Crazy. Ay, ay, ay. So we're gonna keep playing with it to see if we can get it to go, I guess. Just keep trying. Maybe if you take the headphones out, I don't know if you're on cell or what, but maybe if you just
If he
put it.
has headphones, then he might be able to talk. I don't know if he has headphones.
I didn't even see what he had on. Mm, but yeah. Oh, good, Katie. Thanks. Um, yeah. Ooh. So, very interesting. I've been trying to plan this for a while, so I was like, maybe I should have just recorded us earlier, but this is what happens, and I just get to keep talking and messing with my hair and massaging my head while figuring out what's going on. I'm just, hoping that it works when he comes back in this time. I can read a little more too, but like just about timing. We're experimenting with this timing to see whether this is going to happen or not. But I closed the book from that page, so I wouldn't know how to get back to it. But I'm reading that the divine will be whatever you want. Will it give me whatever I want too? um, it says that God's just happy to hear from us all. So, well, I'm sure that God is listening and is going to make this happen, yeah? Because this should be very interesting. Taking it inside to the presence. The main purpose of long period of silence was to spend all of the time communicating with the indweller, to take it all inside to divine presence, the feelings, the thoughts, the questions, to talk with the presence within like a dear friend. Well, maybe we have something going on here.
How's that? Is it working?
That's good. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh my goodness. See, I just said my
Are we
little
in? Are we?
We're
We're
here
in.
because we didn't give up, and I just asked the divine to give us what we're asking for. So yeah, I was just asking if you wanted to add something to the fabulous being that you are and what you do in
Well,
the world.
the most beautiful thing is that I'd like to express that I think is a really important message of who I am, and in my message anyway. Maybe I'm not it entirely. I'm not really into labels and so forth, so to speak. And that's the whole point, the whole idea is the infinite potential, the nameless, the unnameable, the the space that we have yet to discover. That's what I would like to speak to and talk to, like that potential that we are. And that's what I like to spend most of where I like to spend most of my time and be in. And if that's the greatest label that I could conceive, if you know what I mean. I hope
Yes, I
you're
do.
following. Mm,
Actually, that's what
but
I was reading about.
like into a canvas,
Hmm.
or a piece of wood, and the wood just keeps on talking to you in multiple ways. But the moment that you shape it into the piece that maybe its final death, its final space, then it can still have growth, but yet it still locks you into a little bit of a space. Whereas, and if you left that block or that canvas untouched, so to speak, like taking the flower or leaving the flower on its stem, on the branch, connected to the source. Otherwise, we pluck it away and and it becomes like the grape, slowly dying and shriveling up. Still has life and can yield life and give life and is a resource, but yet still not to the potential of which it was left connected to the source. So that's an important aspect, I believe, to speak to and talk to, the unnameable and
Yeah.
those aspects within us all. Yeah. But in
Yeah.
saying that, it is helpful to answer the question too. So I call myself a health and medicine facilitator. And the health and medicine facilitator is, in my mind, the nearest thing I could get under the pretenses of modern knowledge, modern science, and modern medicine to be labeled because, like a doctor has connotations. Even I used to call myself a specialist, but then that has connotations. I first started calling myself a practitioner, and I didn't want to call myself a practitioner because I felt that I was labeling myself and demoralizing myself by saying that, well, I'm practicing on people. And essentially it was the truth, but there was a time where I says, I'm no longer practicing. I want to step up. And so I specialized. But now I just call myself a facilitator because I see that the reality is that I'm not even a healer. That's what I'm trying to say. The moment I say I'm a healer, I take away the essence. The only time that I'm a healer is when I'm doing the work for myself. I'm doing my inner work. That's the only healing I can do. But I can be a guide and an assistant, and you could say a gatekeeper or a portal opener for people in their lives and their situations, so that they're able to move forward or go somewhere from A to B to a destination, whatever that is. And usually, health is a key component to bettering, improving, or amplifying or enhancing something in one's life. So that means it could be within the pediatric area where with children and
Mm.
babies and childcare. It could be within infectious diseases. However, in that way, I wouldn't say I would give um, herbal medicine, so to speak, which I'm trained in. I would actually send people directly to the doctor because I believe that in Western medicine is extremely great at infections in certain aspects, and that's what I mean. I facilitate. I don't say people come up to me and say, "What kind of medicine do you do?" And I says, "Well, the medicine kind." And they say, "Which one?" And I say, "Medicine." And they go, "Well, what do you mean?" And I says, "Well, all of the different types of medicines in the world, I bring it together, and it's all medicine, from the most ridiculous to the most um, empirical or physical. It's all um, put together. And I use that whole idea as the framework and the base of my practice and my sharing and my offerings and my my knowing and my being of health and medicine. So I would talk about health of the mind, our mental body. Then I'll talk about our emotional body, and then I'll talk about our physical body. Then I'll talk about even the health of our financial body, and then
Mm.
talk about the health of our social body, and then our inner body, outer bodies, and all the different aspects, and find where we can bring them all back together. You know, I don't even necessarily believe in the chakra theory, but it's useful for us to step closer to the truth. So it's useful. It's not it, but it's a part of it. And so when we bring all of the individual chakras together, the reason I say that is because I've learned that there's over, a million chakras, if you could take it that far, if not infinite. Or you could say that there's definitely 10,000 different chakras, found in divine and ancient texts.
Mm.
However, we talk about the seven chakra for the most part, but in Chinese medicine, we actually include 28 or 29 other chakras that are crucial, like the ones in the soles of our foot, which we call Yongchen, or the earth point, this point here. That's a very important chakra, but not many people consider it. it's actually far more important than any other chakra, because if you're not connected to the source, you're not really going anywhere. The A and the B of the power and the connection, the positive and the negative, is is just going around like reincarnation in a circle. It's not necessarily good, and that's kind of like the society and the mentality of us just saying that around and around and around and around, going nowhere. So that's the whole idea, is that to instruct and bring people back to groundedness and connection of above and below, and on a timeline, and acknowledge our purpose and our uniqueness. And health is a key to all of that. And so to finish off, what I see as my pinnacle vision, the untapped ultimate potential of what I believe my purpose is health and medicine for the world. And so in saying that, in vision, and I'm a big part of this, and we all are ultimately in the end, is that if we were able to all teach, and it may sound a little bit arrogant, if we were all able to teach everyone as a standard in public schools, private schools, or schools as a base information, all of the stuff that we know, about esoterics, all of the hidden stuff, make it positive, make it clear that everything that we say is magic, and we have to be careful what we say because we're casting spells. That's why they call it spelling. And that every action we do has implications and repercussions throughout the universe. That if we teach people how to exercise, not just about this ease and discomfort, we teach them about all the things that are good in the world, and then teach them about all the bad things in the world. And that opens up to a greater potential. And so, if we taught everybody as a base to the best of our ability, how to be doctors, then within 100 to 200 years, everyone would be so healthy and so well, we wouldn't need doctors because everyone would be doctors. And health would be a standard. Everyone would be healthy and everyone would be fit and to the best of our ability. At the least, we would minimize this ease, would minimize it dramatically. But we could eventually probably abolish it within 300 years. Kia ora. Yeah. 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 Oh, I'm just on a Zoom call at the moment. Hey. Yeah. Yeah.
What? Sounds really awesome.
Oh, you're listening to it?
Oh no,
Yeah.
I just heard like as I came in, I was like, oh yeah.
Oh, kia ora whaia.
And that is that.
Yeah,
I
for
don't want
sure.
my cook because anyone people
Oh, ke te pai. It's all the same, eh? Thanks for coming over and expressing, your vibes and so forth, eh? Yeah. But I'll probably be finished soon, and I'll maybe check up with you. That's a really good question.
Or are you out for
Te kore. Te kore.
Aye. Like, so are you taking it right back?
Well, that's all there is, really, in the end. No matter how far forward you go. Yeah, see, you know it. See, she knows it. She knows it. And that's what I'm saying, is that if it's entrenched in all of us, it's no longer a secret, then health and well-being.
Why is it not known?
Those are really good questions.
She can pop on. I'm open. She can pop on. And this is what I was talking about before you came on. Is
well,
like,
you guys should actually see where we are, eh?
Yes.
You guys haven't seen where we are. Yeah. I'll pop out and I'll bring the phone through there. It's actually amazing.
Nice. Oh, you see, spontaneity is glee. Look at this. You're getting a special treat, Katie.
This is over in America.
Right? We're on the other side of the pond.
I know they're in New Zealand, so we know we're getting a treat. You know that.
I know.
Look at
yeah.
Nice.
Look at.
Oh, off again. Off again.
Your camera's off. There we
go.
There he
goes.
Oh,
no. It keeps popping up. This is the most entertaining live I've ever done here.
How do you switch this camera around? Oh, yeah, check it out.
Nice. Beautiful day. Peaceful. Looks very, very peaceful.
Yeah, no reception where I am. Just the way we like it.
That's what I was saying. You're like in a very rural area. But
What?
yeah, what I was talking about
What's your
before.
name? What's your name?
Hello. Kia ora.
This is Nawaka. They can hear you, but you can't really hear them. I can't put on speaker. Oh, hey. Oh, we live just up here.
Kia ora.
Ora.
Can you hear us still? No? Yes?
I can, anyways. I got the. Oh, yeah, I can give you one. Yeah.
But yeah, I was just saying before you. Oh, now you disappeared. Shoop. Poof. Gone. Very interesting. Oh well, we've got a little taste of New Zealand and some amazing
I'm sure he will come back.
demonstration. Hey, he probably will. But what that's just a demonstration too, because what he was saying was exactly what I was saying before he got on. So, this is like how divine works. If you believe and if you're open, like look at that. Like he perfectly continued what I was saying. Right? Did you hear that, Katie?
Exactly.
I know. That's pretty I'm not blown away. I'm amazed, of course. It's amazing that we just have that ability. Like that's the way that life was designed, for these spontaneous and wonderful reactions and interactions. And if you're in tune and if you're allowing, then you're going to receive all of that all the time, always, like just like that. Perfect timing. Yeah. So it's almost 4. I don't know. Do you think he's gonna come back? Possibly, possibly not. But yeah, I mean, what an interesting experience this was. Hi there. You're back, but now I can't hear you.
We back on?
Yeah, there we are. Yeah, back on. But yeah, oh, I can't hear you. But what I was saying is that I was just talking about everything that you said pretty much. And there's no surprise to that. Like that's just how life works when you're just a vessel and you're just allowing the experience to happen and you're in the flow. Like that's how you receive all of that. And that's how what you were saying is like remembering the whole human experience. Like that is not just the 7 chakras. It's like so much more than that we were created and designed to experience, but we are the ones that have the resistance to breaking through the things that want to tie us back down and have us be contained by certain belief systems and such. And I think that's really a part of what's going on now, is the struggle of people who are like being contained and those that are breaking out of the container and appreciating, understanding how life flows, and that we are so perfectly designed, just amazingly well put together and programmed.
Absolutely.
For
They triggered
what
so many things. Yet the most important thing that I felt that is important to acknowledge along similar lines is that, like we're born with everything, but yet nothing. You know what I mean? That we come naked, bareback, barefoot, bare hand, bare minded and bare souled and bare bodied. And with all of that bearing that we get given over a certain amount of time compared to other sentient beings, physical sentient beings on Earth, that they instantly jump into it, And so because of that, that kind of lull period, there's able to have intervention, and you're able to tamper and play your mental, so to speak, or groom. And that's sometimes the problem or issue, the infiltration. So I do programs like Baby Gym where you basically, like I was telling you before, that it's all about the different areas of life. So you just apply the same principle where you start to get the children working. The whole idea is that our soul and everything in our mind is perfect. We just don't really know how our soul and our mind connects with our physical. And because we can't connect with our physical, that means that our avatar is kind of useless. So we have to give it time to work at it and build and work our system so that we can connect our physical body up with our mental body and our emotional body. But a lot of people can't manage the emotional self. A lot of people can't manage their mental self, and they call it crazy or mentally sick and so forth. But it's just usually a disconnect. So basically, my job is to connect anything, to be a structural architect of health and well-being of a system, to just connect all those loose spots, bring it all together. So everything is there, all the resources are there, especially within the infinite potential, especially when you've got that blank canvas that when we come here to Earth, we have everything. We have the capacity to be this phone that we're using, this computer. We can compute beyond the computer because the human body created it. We can calculate beyond the calculator. People have proven that. And usually they're pathologicalized. They're called to be sick or ill because because they do something in an exceptional way. You know, autistic children, they're amazing the things that they can do. In our culture, they're revered, they're taken in and revered and looked after and deemed like godly and divine beings. You know, we don't prosecute them and turn them into these and treat them bad and baby them or belittle them or you know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
revered, they're amazing beings. And so, and why? Because they have isolated and chosen to hold space here on earth, to hold space in a way to remind every single one of us, every person that gets to see, hear, taste, touch, or experience their energy and their being through their hands, through their words, their whole being, their uniqueness. So that's the thing. We're all here for a purpose. And when we start to water down our uniqueness, then we're starting to create cloning. And it's not a good or a bad thing. And there are people out there doing it. But the truth is that we also have to have lots of compassion for those people. We have to have a lot of compassion for the people that are holding spaces for the things that we don't like, for the things that we despise, for the things that um, make us feel uncomfortable, for the things that we fear, because they're doing them, because that has to take place in this world. And of course, over time, as we head into a time of balance and harmony within the light, it'll become less. But for the meantime, it's happening, and we can't change that it's happening. But we can understand and acknowledge that it is getting less because there's more gurus, there's more there's more gurus, and there's more good people, and there's more good things happening in the world than there has ever been before. But we're told through propaganda, news, newspapers, social media that that is not the case. And it's all propaganda, even when it's the truth. So it's so important that we acknowledge and have compassion and love for the people that are holding spaces that we don't have the power, the strength to hold space for. We're holding space in the easy places, the good places, the divine, unique places of the light. The darkness is a hard place to hold space in. And so we can only be thankful that they're holding space for us in the spaces we don't want to or don't even want to go to. So I'm thankful and I have compassion for those doing that. And and know that within time, forgiveness, grace, and harmony will bestow them once they've cleared the karma of their harmony and their disharmony. and that may take time. And it's about not just going around in a circle. That's foolishness. And that's what again that built upon the chakra theory is reincarnation as well. Reincarnation of things is going around and around and around, and you're actually not going anywhere. So if we look at a spring, we instead of seeing it from a 2D position, we turn the circle and we can see it's a spring. So every time you go around, you're you're moving forward like a line, going somewhere. It's far more important that as we grow and expand, we add more to us. It shows us how little we need. Like I was saying, with a calculator, that we can be our own podiatrist, our own foot doctor, just by tapping in and lifting our arches, switching them on, turning them, acknowledging, yeah, there's our ligaments and there's our muscles in our foot. And all I need to do is squeeze my toes, ground and earth myself, connect yourself on a mental and physical and emotional level. And then it's done. And you can do that through physical acts and embodying acts. So it all brings it together. That's my job,
That's what I was talking about
That's
too.
my being.
Asking better questions of yourself, because yourself has the answers. Like you said, you came in naked and you have everything you need, but it takes a moment because we spend so much time spinning in the circle.
1 minute even.
So much time spinning in the circle. So the circle becomes, like you said, the coil or the spiral, and then at the base of the spiral is the sphere of that which you are. That even the energy of the sphere, you see this settling, you see this coming to this point of stillness at the base of the sphere. That was one of my biggest lessons. The circle is the spiral is the sphere is one of my, I don't say teacher anymore, because the teacher's here, but outside are definitely mirrors of the teacher. So the mirrors of the teacher come and show you. They mirror to you. They show you in the mirror, this is you. These are the parts of me that recognize you and the parts of you that recognize me, and we're sharing in this mirror. We're giving and receiving, giving and receiving from each other.
I agree.
Yeah. Pretty cool. I'm actually processing pretty deep energy right now, so I'm a little. I woke up with a migraine, and it's like childhood stuff that's in my skull. Because I asked a question, and I realized it's from a head injury. And granted, part of it is probably hormonal, but like I am processing something huge right now. So it's gone.
Well done. Thank you for that.
But you have
to
recognize that you can move through it. Like I was reading earlier. That's the greatest gift, that breath of life that we take for granted all the time.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I've been wanting to talk about the whole concept of language and so forth, and you sparked it because I was talking about taking, and you go, we got to take it, advantage. Did you say or take?
I said giving and receiving. Giving and receiving.
Yeah, and that's so important to really acknowledge, like what I see in modern culture, driven a lot by the European culture and so forth, with business and economy and so forth as well. A few different kind of loose labels. I see that in greed and so forth it's a taking culture. Like the moment you see somebody, it's about taking, it's about commanding, it's about ordering, and not asking. Not asking, or 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 giving somebody the gift of giving and the gift of receiving. Just take, take, take. From the moment, for example, like have a good day. The first thing's like like have a good day, like, and it's in the morning. So because you said have a good day, you're trying to own that person and dominate their day because you're only going to have a good day because they said it. No, I would have a good day regardless of you saying that or not, if I wanted. Maybe I want to have a bad day. Who are you to say to me what kind of day I should have? If anything, you could say, I
Mm.
hope you have the day of your choosing. I hope that you have a day that that um, answers your call in the now. There's many ways that we can say things, but we choose to say things in a way that is commanding and taking, and that's the problem in the world, I believe, that needs to make. And if we dramatically shifted that, there'd be a huge um, lightning that would take place in the world. Everyone would feel kinder, everyone would feel more blessed, everyone would feel connection and unity and sharing. It's quite
Yeah,
simple. The
it's
more that we give, and the people that take the most, that are struggling with giving the most, are the ones that should be giving as much as they can. And you can see the people that generally give already have nothing. And the people that are the most giving are generally people that have been through practices that teach you that less is more. For example, nuns, monks, you know, across the globes in particular types of religions, they all speak of having only a few pairs of cloaks or nothing. You go back to really deep and ancient cultures and people like the original people of Australia, and they generally have loincloths. You know
mm,
what I mean? Very basic and simple
yeah,
things because they
yeah. No,
have everything. Like I was saying before, they have everything. They came here with everything. They could make the phone calls, telepathy, they could connect across the globe. And we've all experienced it, but we don't consciously understand it. So we don't utilize it as much as we possibly could. We may subconsciously or unconsciously do it or achieve it. But if we do it consciously, then it becomes something a little bit more real, a little bit more um, uh, strengthening and enhancing of this experience here on the now on the physical plane, you know?
well, yeah, and
Yeah,
that's what
because we have everything.
I'm
Everything, you
learning
know?
this in hypnotherapy because I'm studying to be a hypnotherapist and will be able to take clients in June. But like the whole thing about 88% of your mind is made up of like memories, positive and negative. That's your life script. Those are the things, the belief patterns that you
You
kind
mean
of
your
attain.
brain, your mind is a little bit more abstract and expansive, I believe, than that. You mean your brain
Yeah.
or the
Okay.
mind?
Yes.
see
Your
the see the
your brain, your
subtlety?
subconscious
And that's
takes
the
care
thing
of
with language. When we look at indigenous languages, the indigenous language kind of speaks, if you look at it in glyphs or in emojis, you'll see like a family. And then if you look at it from like the greed and the Western kind of culture, European culture, you'll see one single person, an individual by themselves.
it.
You'll see one. But indigenous people, it's always about the colony, it's always about the group. And the languages in indigenous cultures do exactly that. Everything that they speak and utter reminds you about connection, reminds you about being kind, reminds you about being good, reminds you about sharing, reminds you about who you are, where you come from, and what you're connected to, and how you're connected with each other. Whereas, and when you hear Western languages, it's always about oppression, suppression, or depression, or repression, every kind of utter through domination, control, and it's unbeknown. And a lot of people are really, really loving, kind, caring people, and they don't even know that the language they're speaking is really hurtful and disconnecting. It's dubbed with the divide and conquer state of mind and being. And when you're separated, you can't see togetherness. And when you're together, even the separated concept doesn't touch you or hurt you.
Well, yeah, and it's also like not thinking for yourself, you know? is just being conditioned and patterned to what they're feeding you. And that's what I was
So,
talking about with that, getting
mm,
into the 88% of your subconscious, that being your
and
subconscious
that's what
mind.
I was trying to say is that the best way for us to tap into I'm not going to use percentages, the higher potential of our mind capacity would be like, let's just say the right brain, we'll call it the right hand, and then the left. I know we'll do it trippy how the brain works and how everything converts. So we'll call the right brain the left hand, and we'll call the left hand the right brain, just to trip things up, because that's kind of how it works in the brain. And so
Oh yeah. Mhm.
with having the two sides and the two spheres, because we use the gastric colossum in the middle, that creates the figure eight. And that's what I'm trying to say is that if we stick to one aspect, one part of our mind, then we miss out on the whole picture. Liken it to be achieving a job. If we had to hold a very heavy sack of resources and nutrients to get to a place with one hand, we might have to put it down a lot longer. We might end up hurting our elbow or shoulder because of all the stress and tension put on one side. But if we use two hands or two parts of our brains, then it's a lot easier. We'll be able to carry that with a lot more ease. You've done it all before, eh? Carrying something with two hands is a lot easier. So when we bring them together, it actually creates something superior than one or the other. And that's what we're kind of doing. That's why I tried to check in with what mind are you talking about? What
Right.
part of the mind? So just about the potential. And once we unite those two, 1 + 1 = 2, but that one and that two that give birth to this whole concept of left and right, one and two, yields three, and gives us a new dimension and a new understanding, somewhat form, like you could see my head and my hands put together to create something more, something different. And that's potential. And it actually can head into infinity. So that brings us back to the zero, to the source. That infinity is actually nothing, that nothing is everything, and everything is nothing. And
Mm-hmm.
when we tap into that force, the left and the right, then it gives us this stability and the strength to be. Because if we like, let's go back to the labels just to keep the energy flow and the awareness. We go back to the label concept and reduce us down, then you can liken to us freezing, taking a picture along the timeline and freezing us in the timeline. And time doesn't stop. It's constantly evolving, constantly changing, moving forth, never still, in the constant dynamics. The only ultimate reality is movement and shifting, and that's how we get time and space and time, and then time space continuum and space time continuum. The combinations and the flux between them is movement, the only reality. So as we freeze that picture, we lose the greater picture of movement. We lose the greater picture of that being, and we get lost. And we're constantly moving into time. And a lot of people and traditions and so forth have frozen and been stuck or been held on the past timeline. When we're now in the multi-million dollar numbers, so to speak,
Right.
but yet people are still stuck in tradition in certain ways. But they're holding space, so it's necessary. It's a part of the whole. So you know what I mean? There's no good or bad in it, because the reality is, and I'll take a breath on this one. Thank you, sister. um, that good and bad is always there in existence, and that in some ways means it's not there. It's not a universal, like, commodity or thing. It's not necessary once you get over it. Yeah. Once you're over it, it's like actually not a thing at all. It's just a stage, and it can be a thing, and you can get stuck on it, but don't get stuck on it. And so
Mhm.
the good and the bad thing, the judgment and so forth, judgment is a very important, useful tool. It's the first tool that we start to get taught as a child: up, down, in, out, big, small, good, bad, all of those jazzes, male, female, up, down, inside, out, red, blue. It's necessary for us to comprehend the physical world. But when we start to use it against each other in the separatist mind and the separatist view, then it starts to cause harm and damage, and it's against the grain, and it starts to um, pass judgment, not use judgment as a tool, pass judgment to be deconstructive, you know? Yeah, and that's okay because they're holding space and we got to have compassion for them and know that it's not forever. Don't freeze them or yourself in that because there's no such thing as good or bad. It's just is or isn't. And that means that it gives us the responsibility, the power, and the strength to choose. And that
Amen.
means any moment in time. And there's no time like the present. That's why we call it a present. The greatest gift to exist is the presence. So in the now, you have the choice to choose whatever experience you want. And so when someone goes and says to you, have a good day, they're taking away your sovereignty and your freedom. And you can ask them to say, I would usually say if someone does it, especially in a certain way, have a good day. I will say, not because you said so, because I choose so, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But thank you. And I know you didn't mean that, but check yourself and what you're saying. And then even some people um, say, have a good night. They try to take even your night away or wake up and mourn. And it's good to mourn. Wake up and make sure you're mourning instead of
I
saying,
don't.
good awakening. You know
Yeah,
what?
good
We're
morning.
waking
I
up.
don't like that.
Yeah. And
What are
that's
you
the thing is
mourning?
that it's become a standard in a common language and it oppresses, depresses, and suppresses. So the moment that we're able to step out of the constructs of oppression, depression, and suppression and the separatist view, then we are connected and we speak beautiful, and we speak kindness and we speak sharing, and it is done. It's pretty much done. The world is
Mhm.
a world of peace, a world of harmony.
I
It's
love it.
important to know it all. Yeah.
I love it.
And so
I'm
it's always there. It's a choice. The good
yes.
and the bad is always there. And in any moment, we get the power and the capacity to choose because otherwise, someone else is going to choose for you, especially if you're a follower. But that's the thing is, we all are followers, and the best followers in the world are leaders, you know, and the best leaders in the world are followers
Mm-hmm.
because they learnt how to be a leader is to follow certain ways and certain things for the greater good. So
Um,
it's that's the whole kind of balance, but how you can see the balance and the harmony in 2 and 3, in the number two, and balance. And you can also see it in harmony. But they're only really reflections that are trying to bring us all the way home back to source, which is zero. In Māori, we say te kore, or the parentless one, te matua kore. Yeah,
I
the
love it.
parentless one, the one without parents, the
Mm.
void, the source, ultimate potential, infinite potential, the untapped, the blank canvas, everything. And it's crazy that everything comes from nothing, that something comes from nothing. Phenomenal.
Yeah, it is phenomenal. I want to thank you so much for your presence. I do need to tend to whatever is passing through, but I'm so glad that Spirit allowed our conversation and your sharing. So I bless this world with this beautiful balance of which you speak, and um, knowing that that's zero, yes, and allowing it to flow and just staying in presence. Thank you everybody for listening. Thanks,
And
Mataro.
just saying between the 2 and the 3 is the one,
Mm,
to finish off with the one.
yeah.
That everyone talks about the oneness movement, and it's a beautiful idea and a beautiful movement. But one is actually still separation. It's close to zero, the closest you can get to zero, but it's still not quite there. We need one to step to zero, but also don't get caught up on the one selfishness, the separation, the individual, because the one could also be the cloning. So, all cloning and being the same thing. That's what we must be careful of. The one means uniqueness, to take us to zero, infinite potential.
Amen. So,
Mai ki te mauri o io. Ai o ki te rangi. Ai o ki te papa. O te wai ora. Wai ora ki te ira tangata. Wai ora ki te ira tupuna. Wai ora ki te ira tua. Whano, hara mai te toki. Umi e tai ki e toki.
How long
thank
do you
you.
do the number?
Thank you.
Now.
I'm almost finished, me.
Yeah, so we're gonna close off. Katie, we're good. Thank you, listeners.
Awesome. Thanks,
But
sweetie. That was
stay
wonderful.
on for a minute. Thank you. Stay on for a sec.
Is that an order? Because to go to
Oh,
McDonald's,
my
it's so expensive to
Oh,
buy
but
to
I
order
wanted.
something. But I'm way more expensive than McDonald's, by the way. So if that's an order, it's going to cost you.
Okay, no problem.
But
I
you're
don't
welcome
mind
to
paying
ask,
because I'm very wealthy. I don't mind paying.
because a lot of people would say, "Take care, eh?" Take care is another thing. They try to take your day by saying, "Have a good day," and they also try to take your day by saying, "Take care." Well, I don't want to take care because I'm a caregiver. And when you tell me to take care, then it's pulling us back into the take culture. And it's about giving, it's about receiving. But if you wanting to give me care, I'm happy to receive it, sister. But
Oh, yes,
however, it's hard for me to take, especially after that corridor we just had, eh?
yes. Well, we have a few
Good way
moments
to finish, eh? But we've got to stay on it. We've got to constantly remind each other to stay in the zone. Tihe Muriora.
Aye. All right. Thanks, listeners.